How are we doing? This is exciting. I've got to check and make sure everything's working, but I think we've got a stream. It looks like we might be missing our live.diode.zone stream. There's probably an IP address I forgot to update. Looks like we are live on YouTube. Looks like we're live on Twitch. And yeah, I don't have the chats on the screen at the moment, but I'm also paying attention to the... Here. Sorry, I know the audio is terrible with the mic back there. Yeah, I've got the chats hidden on the screen right now, but I am paying attention to the Gitter, the YouTube, and the Twitch chat. There's Chico in the background. Anyway, welcome back. It's been a while since I streamed. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is probably an awkward time because I'm kind of extremely in the middle of things. But, yeah, I'm back online. Let's have some video too. Hi. So this is the future home of these streams and recordings. The audio is pretty terrible right now. Which I know the audio wasn't amazing at the old place either. I am working toward having a better audio setup, but right now there are still a bunch of problems with that. So, yeah, someone's already mentioned that the P.O. box on the welcome screen is still the same. Yeah, I still got the P.O. box. That'll still work for a little while longer. I'm not really sure how much longer I'm going to keep it, but at least a few more months. So, yeah, just the context here. So I had this whole regular streaming thing where I would record the behind the scenes as I did projects that would turn into these edited videos. There were a bunch of things kind of bogging me down doing that at the old place. A big one was that the actual housing situation I had was not extremely permanent. Rather a lot more temporary than I'd like. It's not like my landlord was going to kick me out necessarily. It was more that it was just really expensive, and I moved in there kind of expecting that, well, I needed a place for a while, and that place showed up. I figured it would be pretty temporary when I first started living there. I was there for 5 years, which is a lot more than I expected. And I tried different things to try to pay the expensive rent there. I did consulting jobs. I thought I would run classes there. I thought I would use the proximity of that place to the San Francisco Bay Area to my advantage somehow. And not even to my advantage, just as a way of making it sustainable. I just wanted a place that was, I feel like I'm kind of constantly battling against this hermit urge that I have to just get a really cheap place in the middle of nowhere and just make stuff and do internet streams and not talk to anyone in person. So I feel like this place that I had in Emeryville, my previous kind of big studio that I was doing most of those streams from, I guess all those streams, because I did some video before moving into that place, but all the live streams that you would have seen I did from that place. So yeah, I'm effectively moved out. I still have the keys to that place for a few more days really, but I've got all my stuff out and I'm in a new place. And that was kind of an ordeal. It was one of those, it was one of those things where I think part of the reason I was there for longer than I expected, that 5 years, was that I had, there was a lot to like about the place. It was this big concrete box where I could have kind of a shop space and a living space, and I couldn't really imagine how I would find something else that would work for me and how I would actually do the move. And yeah, the move has been really complicated. It was 2 big trucks, hundreds and hundreds of boxes, and so much foam, But yeah, all my physical objects are in this general area now. I've got a detached garage that I'm going to turn into kind of like a messy shop space. And then I've got like a little house that's right next to the garage. And yeah, I can stay here for the foreseeable future, unlike the previous place. So that should be kind of a huge load off of everything. Because I feel like I couldn't really just relax and make creative stuff when I was worried about like how am I going to pay my landlords thousands of dollars a month to live in this place that I don't even really like that much anymore. So that's what led me here. A lot of things kind of came together, I guess. I was feeling kind of really on this like in between place with the project work. I've been trying to change the kind of video from just a plain old. I mean, I don't want to disparage this stuff because like I mean lots of people like videos that are just about projects, but I wanted to try to add some other layer to what I was doing than just like a project show and tell thing. And so I was really trying to like I don't know go through this like creative brainstorming kind of / hitting my head against the table writing attempts at episodes that probably won't actually work out, and doing a lot of research for stuff that I probably won't actually make, and you know that kind of like annoying kind of open-ended writing kind of work, and so that plus living in this expensive place where it's like, oh gosh, I have to justify paying this expensive rent, and I'm doing this like kind of open-ended like writing stuff where like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to like elevate this to something new that I haven't really been able to try before, and you know like artisty stuff, and like being, I don't know, trying to have that like kind of open-ended like artist mindset when you're also like under severe financial pressure too. I mean, I don't want to say like severe financial pressure because like I have money saved up that I can use to pay the rent, which is how I bought this house. And so like that's, but that's like something that was not sustainable. Like, you know, that was going to run out and I wasn't going to have a place to live, and then I wasn't going to have any plan. And so this was me actually making a decision to, instead of like shoveling money into a money pit and paying these terrible landlords every month, I actually like bought a house in a cheaper city, and now I can just relax. And I don't know, I'm feeling pretty rambly, but it's also nice just to like relax and hang out. And somebody on Twitch is asking if this is from 2019, and no, it's not. I guess I made a typo in the description, sorry. This is from 2020. I'm just really used to typing 2019 everywhere. Let's see if I can correct that before anybody else notices. Yeah, thanks. Anyway, hi. I'm just rambling about stuff. I was mostly just talking about the status of this big complicated move, and things are mostly great. Well, like a week ago or so I was really exhausted, but at this point I'm feeling a bit more settled in, and just like there's just a lot to do with setting up there's just a lot to do with setting up everything, really. I mean, it's probably obvious that I'm just sitting on the floor right now. Yeah, it's a big relief, like having a place that I can just live in. You know, I still have some savings that I can use to, you know, buy groceries and stuff while I mean, to be honest, like I feel like the thing that I was doing before, you know, part of why I was so stressed out by that is I was getting this huge amount of support from patrons, from just people on the internet being generous, and it just felt like I was shoveling most of that money directly into these terrible landlords. And so now, yeah, I mean, this feels like a lot more relaxed, where, you know, I feel like I have this stable position where I have some savings still, but like I have like a place to live, and I can, you know, I think with the, you know, if I can still like figure out how to earn the support of my, you know, kind patrons who have been with me through all this, then like I can just kind of make whatever would be useful, which is like an amazing privilege, and I need to figure out how to, you know, make something that I can be proud of with that. So yeah, that's kind of what's been on my mind. Like it's great. It's kind of heavy because it's like, oh my gosh, I bought a house. Like I never thought I'd be one of those people. But then like, I don't know, my younger brother is terrible, and he's like, he bought a house and then he sold it and then he bought another house. Like people buy houses. It's like weird for a millennial to have a house, but like sometimes it happens. And it's not like I bought a house in San Francisco, but you know, like it's still a city that I like. So I'm pretty happy with that. Oh yeah, question on Twitch chat. Where is Tuco? Yeah, Tuco's in the room right behind me. So yeah, I've got doors, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this is something I didn't have at my previous place. The place I was doing all those streams from. I mean, a lot of you probably understand the layout because it was pretty obvious because it's all one big open space. But sorry if the mic is really hissy. Like I don't actually have. I need to unpack a bunch of stuff. I need to unpack so much video and audio gear, and of course tables and stuff like that. But yeah, Tuco's in the room back there, which is my bedroom, and Tuco's room. It's I guess like the master bedroom in this layout. So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom place. So I effectively have one room as like a recording studio, one room as a bedroom, and one room as like a room to like rent out or for friends or a guest room or something. It's like a spare room basically. And then a detached garage that I'll also turn into a shop. So the rooms you'll probably be seeing are like whatever I turned this like recording studio area into, and the shop space that I've got in the garage. Right now the garage is mostly boxes that I haven't unpacked yet. Yeah, it's pretty great. I've got a heater, I've got an air conditioner, I've got a dishwasher. I had to buy a washer and dryer, which was quite a thing. It was neat. Yeah, Thomas mentions that the diode zone stream isn't working. Yeah, I noticed that too. I think I just forgot to change. I forgot to change an IP address, and I don't think it's easy for me to change that while the stream is running, so I'm just going to take that as a note for next time. So sorry the diode zone stream isn't working right now, but diode zone itself is working. But if you want this video stream, you'll have to get it from Twitch or YouTube at the moment. So that's twitch.tv/scanlime or scanlime-in-progress on YouTube. Yeah, the error is not helpful. It'll say like, oh, it could not be loaded either because the server or the network or the format, something. So where's that crackling coming from? I can't tell if I was imagining something or if I was hearing some crackling in the audio. I was worried that it might be that my mic cable was right next to a USB cable, but I don't think that's it. Robert's asking, oh, maybe I'm just clipping. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if anybody else hears that. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot to debug in the audio. I mean, it's just so loud here right now. So what you're hearing right now is actually diode zone. It's right there. This is just where I happened to set it up. Yeah, the washer and dryer really are Wi-Fi enabled. I haven't tried turning that on yet, but yeah, they're like... I didn't set out to get a washer and dryer that have Wi-Fi. It just happened that the good washer and dryer had Wi-Fi, so... Oh, gosh. Well... Yeah, so this is going to take some debugging. Americans can't live without dryers. Well, I mean, we can. It's just having trying to wash clothes without a dryer is not super practical in most areas here because you need a lot of outdoor space. Good luck with the IoT. I mean, so far I've got all my IoT set up on a pretty locked down separate network, so I'm not super worried about that. Oh gosh. So yeah, let me try to show you what's going on right now. I don't have any of my stands set up, so I'm just like holding everything. we've got uh, so I'm trying this new thing with my current setup where I'm trying to keep this room, the recording studio room, completely fanless. So obviously diode zone over in the corner there is messing that up right now, but all that stuff in the corner is just temporary, and most of this stuff too, really. So these boxes here and that box here that I've stuck a bunch of heat sinks on, those are USB to Cat5 and HDMI to Cat5 adapters. That's actually HD base T, which is kind of interesting. It uses something which is kind of like 10 gigabit over copper to transmit HDMI with, depending on the video mode, either no compression or just a tiny bit of compression. And these are 2 USB channels, one for the camera, one for the audio, and then some input devices thrown on there too. So cable management. I mean, if it isn't obvious, this is all extremely temporary, by the way. So yeah, none of this is supposed to be there. It's just I needed a place to put things while I get everything else ready. So most of this actually goes in one of the racks. The racks are actually on the complete opposite side of the house right now, which is I think where I'm going to put them. There's just a lot I need to do. I need to run a bunch of wires. I need to run network and power wires. Like, I probably just need to do a bunch of electrical overhaul in this house, so there's a lot of work to do. I might be able to like video stream some of that, but I at least need to get some of the network stuff set up in a slightly less temporary way before I can do much of anything else. And I need to do at least some of the core electrical rework to make that possible, and I need to make sure that the spot that I have set aside to put the all the equipment is actually sound for that. So yeah, lots to do. Pre-deployment testing. Oh yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't want to get myself super locked into a particular location before I know that that location is going to otherwise work. So yeah, one thing I've been doing is just trying to put the servers in roughly the location I think they're going to go to make sure that the level of heat and noise is actually okay. Things like that. And yeah, there's okay, yeah, someone else is hearing the static. There's a couple of people talking about that. Yeah, so I don't know where that's coming from. I can hear that, but I wasn't sure if it was in my monitor or in the microphone. Yeah, and there's a bunch of different things that could be from, so I just was wondering if it was actually there. I'm not going to worry too much about debugging things right now because this is obviously extremely temporary. Yeah, it certainly might be static electricity on the microphone cable. Because I am like holding the microphone and moving it around, but it might also be software. I tested this a bunch earlier and I didn't hear any static, and I think the main difference is that I'm holding the mic this time. And I obviously don't have any of my actual stands unpacked. Maybe that's better. This is not the best angle for anything. So yeah, the house thing is pretty cool. Do I still make bread? Oh, is that a package? Be right back. was actually a package. That was some of the cat proofing supplies. Oh gosh, I really don't want hints for how to debug the audio issue in my obviously extremely temporary setup. Like, by the time I unpack enough test equipment to debug it, I will have unpacked all the stuff that I need to set it up in a less terrible temporary way. So just chill. Oh my gosh, that feels like one of those lessons that I had to learn in the past, like 5 or 10 years, is like everything is terrible, and like the perfectionist in me is really usually not the voice I need to be listening to. Sometimes it is, but like a lot of times it's not. Oh yeah, do you still make bread? Is that a reference to one of my really old blog posts? I had this really old blog on like banana bread. Yeah, I haven't made a bread in a while. I should go back to it. I was just doing a bunch of random cooking at the time, I think, because I just moved to California, and I was excited about having my own apartment for the first time, and I was just cooking a bunch of random stuff, and I blogged about some of it because I had blogged about a bunch of stuff at the time. Unplug everything and plug it back in. Yeah, no thanks. I think I would just crash all the programs running on this machine if I did that. Yeah, so the noise in the background is mostly the server for Diode Zone, which is it's this terribly noisy machine. It's one of the cheapest servers you can get on eBay, which is why I have it. But the reason it's so cheap is because it's a terribly power hungry and noisy machine. And so yeah, I don't remember the number, but it's some kind of Opteron. It's an old dual socket Opteron. So there's a lot of cores. It's got like 24 cores or something, which is part of why I've been running this patched version of PeerTube that does more transcodes than usual in parallel. But yeah, it's just terrible. It idles like a space heater. It's always loud. So like it's loud when it idles. It's super loud when it transcodes. So I've got a plan for that. I have another less loud, slightly less old, cheap, but slightly less cheap server coming from eBay. And I'm going to transfer parts around until I have one working quieter server. It's a question if I'm still talking to people on another platform. Yeah, so I'm still checking out the 3 different chats we've got going. So I've still got Twitch, YouTube, and Gitter.im. And I don't have any of those on screen right now, but I'm still paying attention to them. There's a question from Gitter actually about where Tuco is. Tuco is right behind me. So Tuco's been mostly hanging out in the bedroom, which is sort of my and Tuco's main hangout at this point. That's also the only room that's really totally cat-proofed at this point. There's kind of only a minimal amount of electronics in there, and there aren't any like escape hatches Tuco can get into, or like terrible hazardous objects or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I've been taking him on these supervised outings to the rest of the house, but it's been more like it's been a bit more like the bedroom is kind of like the apartment was, like the place we used to live in, and then the hallway there, the like more public area, that's kind of like more like the rest of the house. And my goal is to make the rest of the house mostly cat safe, but there's a bunch of things that I need to do in the kind of home improvement department. And so the thing that just arrived actually is a metal screen to put over the fireplace so I can block that off. I'm also putting in a couple of doors. I need to put a door over the laundry room. There's no door there. And so I want to keep Tuco away from the laundry equipment because like there's just a bunch of dangers there. Like, I mean, it would be really bad if Tuco went inside either machine. But also Tuco's just going to like chew on the power cords and stuff like that. And I don't want to use my usual cord cat proofing stuff around like heat appliances if I don't have to. And then there's the water heater, which is just always hot in places. And I'm sure Tuco would learn to avoid it, but he would also be super fascinated by the area around it. So Like, I don't have confidence that he wouldn't just like climb on the water heater and like knock pipes loose and stuff. So yeah, I just want to put something protective. And so it turns out there's already a door frame there that just needs hinges and a new door. So I got this louver door for that. I'm also trying to make sure that even if, even when Tuco is like in the rest of the house, that I can keep at least 2 doors between him and the outside world, because this outside area is not super cat safe. Like, I mean, outdoor cats exist, but like Tuco isn't really one of them right now. He's really curious, and he would just climb the roof, and he'd be exploring half the city and getting into trouble. So, and I'd see him again for a while, and then he would get stuck somewhere, and then he would just not come back. And so I don't want that to happen. I've been kind of cavalier in the past about letting Tuco hang out in the larger warehouse space, even where I was, and he got stuck once for like a weekend, and that was not good. And I put a tracker on him after that. So yeah, I mean, Tuco's not going to be like a fully outdoor cat, but I want to give him as much space to roam as I can here. So that includes making most of the house cat-proof. So I feel like this recording area, I want it to be kinda cat safe. I want to be able to let Tuco in here without worrying too much, but I also want to be able to close it off if I need to. So that should be good. Like he would never go in the garage, for example, so that's always like going to be like a messy project area that I can, use power tools and chemicals and stuff in safely. But I think I could build some outdoor cat space for him. I want to build like an outdoor cat box out of metal that attaches to the window frame, so that he can just climb out the bedroom window and hang out in the backyard or in the side of the house. So that would be a good welding project. So I've also got room to weld here, which I'm super excited about. I don't actually have a welder, but I've done a little bit of welding in the past, so I feel like I could teach myself the rest. And I've got a little concrete pad on the side of the house that's got enough space that I can weld safely. That's connected to the front of the garage door, so I could roll projects out there, do welding, set up like a welding screen or something. So yeah, that would be pretty cool. What else? Yeah, there's a couple of loud computers in this room. There's Diode Zone, but then there's also this little 1U machine that I use to run the pfSense firewall, and it's not the quietest because it's 1U. It's not super power hungry, but it has tiny fast fans. Oh yeah, so I wanted to keep at least like 2 doors between Tuco and the outside world. I guess that's the conversation thread I was on. So I'm doing a little bit of home improvement for that, because there's actually 3 entry doors in this house. There's 2 back doors and 1 front door. One back door goes through the laundry room, so I'm already going to end up accomplishing that by adding the laundry room door. But then the other back door is actually right over there. It's in the office. So that'll be really helpful for doing like outdoor and garage projects. We can go straight from the recording studio into the garage, and I'll have cameras set up in both places. So that'll be a nice feature. We'll probably see more of that. But it also means that if I mostly keep this office door closed, then it also gives me some cat-proofness for that. But then, mostly the thing that I don't want to happen is, I come home from something, I open the front door, and Tuco, rushes out into traffic or something. So, ideally, I would open the front door, and then there would be an area where I can stand and see if Tuco's right there, and then have a second door to open. And then, if I need to be extra secure that way, if Tuco's nearby, then I can, close the front door before opening the second door, like a little airlock, except without the air part. And there's actually this great architectural feature in the house where the front door is connected to this little right angle thing. It's just this tiny little stub of a hallway before it actually opens up into the rest of the house. And so that little stub of a hallway is a great place to just put an extra door. So I found some doors that are just the right size, and so I get to install those too. Yeah, outside's a dangerous place for cats. There are outdoor cats here, and I hope they're doing all right, and I might try to help them out. But there are just a lot of feral cats in this place, and they're probably competing for, the wonderful birds we have. right? Like the wildlife that the cats disrupt, like I care about them too. So like, you know, if I'm gonna have this wonderful killing machine in my life, then I'd rather feed him kibble than have him decimate the local squirrel and songbird population. Yeah, 1U fans are pretty bad. I did even replace a couple of the fans on that machine with lower flow fans, but I couldn't replace them all because it just ran too hot, so I had to compromise and still got some fast fans in there. But yeah, my network topology here changed a bit. Oh, sorry about the autofocus. We're not servo AF here. This isn't my DSLR. This is just like a little Logitech camera. This is the one that I usually use as my desk cam. I don't have any of the fancy cameras set up right now. I do have my nice microphone at least. It's just the room is kind of terrible. I don't have any filters turned on right now. I was experimenting with some EQ and some compression, but with all this background noise, kind of nothing sounds good, so I didn't choose to add any for this stream. I've got a new audio routing setup that I like, though. I was doing some terrible analog stuff where I did my audio mixing in a DAW, and then I sent the audio back out through one audio cable, and then back in, but they were different ports in the same computer. It was going out from an audio interface and in through the line in on the motherboard, but that was after failing to use a couple of different software virtual audio cable drivers because they would have buffering problems, and so that could be happening here, but I think if that was happening, I don't think I would be hearing it in the monitor here because that driver is between the DAW and OBS, whereas my monitor earphones here are only going through Ableton. But anyway, that might have just been static electricity because it kind of quieted down after sitting the microphone on the table and touching it less. Anyway, happy Saturday, everyone. Circle of life. Yeah, cats are natural killing machines, right? But they're just like really good at it, and they're bad for local birds. Oh yeah. Nick says they're excited for Tuco's 1930s style window mount baby cage. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Like it's going to be like a little metal box that goes outside the window, and so I can open the window. And I need to figure out how to do it though. I think I'm going to use the side window because there's like a side window which has kind of a good view of the trees, but it also just kind of points directly at the neighbor's kitchen, which is less useful because I don't really care what the neighbor's kitchen looks like. And so if I could design the window box so that it kind of like has support / privacy in the areas where there isn't really a good view, but this then still like leaves the good views of the birds and trees open for both the outside area and the inside area, that would be pretty cool. Oh yeah, mudroom. I guess that's the technical term for That's the common term for something that's like an airlock, but for the purpose I'm describing. Robert says their loudest server is actually a 2U. Yeah, that's the situation I'm in also. I've got several other servers, like the one that I'm broadcasting from is actually on the opposite side of the house right now. I thought about taking a trip over there, but I'm not quite set up for that. But we're actually running off that machine through some long cables. I've got one Cat5 cable for video and then two Cat5 cables for USB. A dirt airlock. Yeah, it is like a dirt lock or a cat lock more than an airlock. But yeah, the fastest and most annoying fans are definitely these little 2U super micro machines. I have a bigger server that's got, I think, the same fans as the 2U, but it runs just a lot, cooler. It's still kind of warm, but it's not like a space heater. So that's the machine I use as my personal network storage. So that has all my backups, all my work in progress projects. It's like 100 terabytes. It's great, but it was also pretty power hungry. I made it slightly less power hungry by taking out one of the CPUs, which is, it also means I can only use half the RAM slots and half the PCI slots because that's how those are wired. But, I think I still get like 32 gigs of RAM. I forget if that ended up with 32 or 64. I think it's only got 32, but that's probably all right. Oh yeah, so there's a lot of project stuff in my future just in terms of getting this place set up. So, I want to just be able to start doing this without so much hassle, being able to stream and not be just sitting on the floor holding the microphone. I need to figure out how I'm doing the sound treatment in this room, and some of that relies on actually being able to get a sense of what this room sounds like without the giant servers in here. So I think a lot of this is kind of gated on getting the network equipment set up in its, kind of stable home. So that's this whole other thing. So I need to figure out exactly where that is. I think I've got a spot picked out that's kind of next to the kitchen. So it's in this part of the house that's already pretty loud. So I think the noise from outside and the noise from the servers would kind of, neither one would really drown out the other. They would just kind of mask each other a little bit. And so I've got the servers set up kind of near that, but not in the exact spot that I want them in. So I need to try several things. I need to try moving them over there just to see if the amount of heat they put out is reasonable. I need to actually get Diode Zone moved into the different, slightly less power hungry server that I ordered from eBay, and probably mix and match parts to get that working. And then I need to do a bunch of electrical upgrades on this building. The wiring is kind of a mishmash of really, really old wiring and only kind of old wiring. And in my dream house, everything is running through conduit, and it's all like modern and up to like commercial building standards. So, hiring an electrician to do that here would probably be really expensive and pretty disruptive to everything else that's going on. But I think it might be worth having an electrician just do the panel and service upgrade here. This was after discussing it with a friend who's also like a former licensed electrician. So their advice was like, oh yeah, just do it yourself. Just have an electrician do the service part, but then run the new circuits yourself. So I'm sure I'm going to be knee deep in trying to understand how the permitting process here works and reading all the relevant electrical codes. But it does sound like it might be a good idea to run those myself, because then I could run power and data at the same time. And this place is also in kind of a good position for that. Like, it kind of needs an electrical overhaul anyway, so I can just put in electrical and data exactly the way I want it. And it also has an uninsulated attic and crawl space, which is not great for for HVAC efficiency, but it's actually kind of great if I want to redo the wiring. So I can redo the wiring and then get it properly insulated at some later date. So, but that's a big project, and so I don't necessarily want to do that all at once, but I need to plan how that interacts with everything else. So part of that plan is like, I need some temporary power, because that's going to probably be like a day or two of not having electricity while I'm getting the panel replaced. So, I was shopping for generators recently, just figuring out how to do like a little bit of backup power so I can at least run basic servers and network gear while I'm replacing other power. And then, I think I've been like trying to figure out where I'm going to run conduits, where I'm going to do patch panels, and what I actually need cable for and that kind of thing. Oh yeah, Thomas was asking if I'm going to use shielded Cat 6. Yeah, I did buy a bunch of shielded Cat 6. So the cable mess you're seeing around here is mostly like old cable that I was using at my previous place. I was already shopping for new cable, and I got some reels of shielded Cat 6 that were on sale at Monoprice, which seemed like a good compromise between, I part of me wanted to go Cat 7, but Cat 7 is still pretty expensive, and I don't really need 10 gigabits for most of this. There are a couple of cable runs that are a bit more sensitive, like the ones that I'm using for the USB and video over Cat 5. those are kind of the best practice for HD-based T signals, for example, is to use shielded cable. So it seemed like that would be a good choice. It seemed like a good choice for the USB also after reading up on how these work. They're actually pretty interesting. I found a datasheet for the chip they use, and they're capacitively coupled rather than inductively, which is interesting, but they are still kind of isolated. And they, they're powered on both sides, and they use this chipset that just converts the USB D plus, D minus, the same bit signaling into, an electrically distinct but, kind of USB protocol identical bit stream that goes over Cat5. That's a random question. It's a question from Twitch about whether I use CUDA. Yeah, I've never actually written any CUDA code at the CUDA level. So if you're asking the CUDA language, I haven't actually learned CUDA as a programming language, but I've written and used a bunch of software that ends up using CUDA. So I've used a bunch of the OpenCV stuff that wraps CUDA, and I use it for video transcoding a lot. Most of my video transcoding runs on CUDA around here. So I've actually, I'm staring at the output from what is this? What do I call this? I never know what to call this because the name that I use for it is kind of weird and obscure. It's the video motion sensitive time compression tool. It's what I use to kind of crunch down video of my pet isopods into a shorter stream. It's just one of those background tasks that I start and forget about, and it takes weeks to run here. So, but that uses CUDA, both for video compression and for a bunch of computer vision stuff. I have just FFmpeg running on a different machine using CUDA. If you're watching this on Twitch, the transcode for that is happening on a machine over there using CUDA. That little mini tower is a video transcode server, which does the Twitch stream and the announcements and stuff like that. There's a bunch of just random network gear here that I have set up. I try to keep stuff pretty low power except for the big servers. So that 2U monster there is, between 300 and 500 watts depending on what it's doing. But that's a router, and then that little one is something I set up just recently to be a Tor relay. And then that's my internal monitoring server. And then that little 1U on top is a pfSense router. And then the rest of those things aren't computers. A couple of routers and a UPS. And this little computer I have the chat on. No stands to put anything on. I need to catch up on chat here. Oh yeah. Nick is also trying to figure out the wiring in a new house that they got. Yeah, the house that I'm in is also kind of a mishmash of weird wiring, and it's pretty old. It was built in 1930 something, 39 I think. And so the original wiring is knob and tube, and it's still got a little bit of that. Not a ton, but a little bit, and it's still connected. And it's got a bunch of just random Romex cable running from point to point. And then it's got some conduit, some of the heavy duty stuff, the air conditioner is connected to conduit. That's cool. But yeah, it's a mess. It's got 125 amp service also, so I think one of the first things I'm going to do is upgrade to 200 amp service. And then, yeah, just start replacing circuits. Oh, and yeah, I don't know about getting architectural plans for it. I do need to actually try to search for what records might be available. Yeah, Jamie from Gitter Chat says, this reminds me of when I first moved to California 18 years ago and vaguely balanced my computer on some stuff so I could use it. Yeah, it definitely has that vibe. It's bringing back memories of when I moved to California in 2005 and was sitting my laptop on top of cardboard boxes and sitting my dinner on top of cardboard boxes. And I have a little bit of furniture. I mean, I have a really nice desk, which I brought with me. I just haven't assembled it yet. That's the top of the desk right there with the clips and stuff glued to the bottom. But I need to make enough floor space in this room to assemble the desk properly, and right now there's a wire mess which I need to figure out how to deal with, so there's more prerequisites. And so, and like this stuff over here, I can't move without diode zone downtime, so that's staying here until I have a proper server rack, which requires figuring out the wiring situation and making sure that the floor where I'm planning on putting the rack can actually take that much weight. The location I have in mind is right next to the site, to the like one corner of the house, so I think it's going to be right next to the foundation wall, but I want to actually see that part of the foundation before I put something heavy on it. Oh, Jarrett's asking about ungrounded outlets. Yeah, there are lots of ungrounded outlets in this house. Yeah, that was an old style outlet back there. That one with the pink sticker on it is wired with a ground, but I tested it and the ground is not connected. So there's a bunch of that. There's a bunch of kind of grounds that don't work and grounds that just aren't even there. GFCIs with no grounds, stuff like that. I did actually test the grounds on the outlets that I have the servers plugged into, but I'm also monitoring the voltages in a bunch of different places around the house just to make sure that nothing is terrible, but there's definitely a lot of voltages happening. And I'm hoping that I can add some copper and have fewer voltages happening. Yeah, that fan noise is quite a bummer. It's going to be much better streaming in here after I get the 2U noise basket over there out. Okay, Jamie clarifies that GFCI with no ground is a pretty okay retrofit on the cheap. Yeah, I think that's what they did. I think they pulled new ground wires for some of these, and then the house inspector I had in here was really confused by the GFCIs without the grounds, but I think his explanation didn't really make sense from my electrical understanding of how GFCIs work. So it seemed like not good from an electrical code point of view, but like the GFCI would mostly still work, assuming you were creating a current path to some other ground, like, you know, a bathtub or something. Jarrett says the fan noise is already quieter than at the last place. That's interesting. I mean, you're probably also hearing that I'm holding the mic so close. Like, at the other place I had the mic further away most of the time, so I'm compensating by giving you a bit more of the ASMR experience. I know that it's also kind of terrible not having a pop screen, though, so it'll be good when I have that unpacked. Yeah, the biggest source of noise when I'm not running equipment here is like city road noise from outside, because this is next to some like big streets. But I was looking into soundproofing, and there's a whole range of things that I could do to this room, you know, up to the point of like building another smaller soundproofed room inside of it, or even putting like a little soundproofed booth inside. So I need to figure out like how far I need to take that, which will require just getting a sense of what it sounds like, which I haven't been able to do yet since I didn't have my microphone here before I had the server here, and now I've got the server. Yeah, it's nice to be back on the stream, even though I don't have a project to work on. I mean, I do have a project. This whole house is a project now, but I have a little bit more to do until I can really stream what I'm doing effectively. But yeah, this is just such a mess right now. Let's see. I've got this nice long hallway that's full of cables now. You can see the other servers at the end of that row of cables. We can see if Tuco wants to come over. It'll be really stressful having Tuco around all this non-cat-proofed stuff, but if I keep a really close eye on him, we can see if Tuco wants to hang out. He might want to fetch in this hallway, which could be fun. Let me see if I can arrange that. It wouldn't be a stream without Tuco, right? taking off the headphones. I have no idea what this sounds like. Okay. Oh, Chico's asleep. Well, I don't think he's asleep. Oh yeah, he's awake, but in a very relaxed position. Boy. Hey. What do you think? Sniffing out that Wi-Fi? Oh, you found a bolt? Let's see if I can play fetch with him. So many trombable cables. So yeah, Chico is part Bengal and part American curl, and he definitely has that Bengal curiosity in him. He's just always looking for something he can bite or open or explore. Oh, Chico, don't walk over there. Oh yeah, James says the floors are really lovely. Yeah, it's funny, like I thought they were pretty good when I was looking at the house, like deciding, what to buy and all that, but like now that I'm actually here and like walking around in socks and barefoot and stuff, the hardwood is really nice. It's like got that nice smoothness that I liked about the concrete, but it's not cold. And has just like a tiny bit of give in places, but it's pretty hard, and it's nice. It's nice having floors that are not concrete. Oh. Yeah, and Chico seems to like it a lot too. It's a lot less chilly and drafty than the previous place. Whoa. Let's see if I can hold him. This is not going to be graceful, is it? Hey, boy. Good boy. Oh yeah, I don't like carpet. I grew up with carpet, and so I was used to it just being like the normal kind of floor for a long time. But after living in places with wood and concrete and carpet, wood is definitely my favorite. Yeah, I think I've got enough brooms, but I might need more. Oh. Comment from Twitch is that I should stream as often as possible. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'll try to be streaming more. I feel like I was really kind of thrown off by the setup that I had previously, where the roommate situation I had last year, and then the like deciding to move out situation. But now that I'm like settling into a stable location, and I can actually set up a stable studio, should be pretty good. Tick. No. Chico is kind of interested, but he knows I don't want him exploring the wire piles. Yeah, I might invest in a Roomba at some point. Right now, the broom is pretty effective also, but like, yeah, I definitely need to get these cables off the floor. The cable mess is real. It's so real. Oh, I like that advice. Stream as much as possible, but no more. Stop before you burn out. Yeah. I mean, I think part of what was so burnout inducing about the the last burnout, I guess, was that I wasn't sure how to sustain any of it, and so having a sustainable housing situation should make the rest of it feel a lot more sustainable. He is very soft. I said this on Twitter, but I think living in a house is good for your hair, and so Tuco and I have had softer hair since moving here. I think the old place was just very dry and cold all the time. And this is a delicate balance of trying to keep Tuco's attention and the area that the camera can see roughly coincident. Yeah, I haven't actually measured the humidity, but I'm sure it's way better. The old place was just, like, really dry for the most part, but then there was no exhaust in the bathroom. Yeah, having a proper exhaust fan in the bathroom is pretty great. I approve of that. Boy, boy. And the garage is a pretty cool space too. It's like a pretty spacious 2-car garage that's all unfinished on the inside, with like exposed rafters and studs and stuff, and some good anchor points in various places, and a little bit of built-in storage. And I think the previous owner used it as a shop also, and it should be a nice space for that. It doesn't have a lot of electricity, but I can rewire it also. It has some electricity, which is good. It's already got a conduit. I was trying to figure out how much network the garage needs. Because, like, part of me wants to run, like, a giant 2-inch conduit there and just stuff it full of Cat5. And then part of me is like, oh, I just need a single fiber optic, and then I can just have a router over there that splits off a bunch of VLANs. Oh, I should find Chico. Oh, Tuco, don't go over there. Oh. Yeah, this will be much better once I have the place generally less bad for cats. Like, not wires everywhere and, you know, more doors. Tuco's adventuring in the kitchen. Tuco, how do I keep you interested in this room? I think he finds the windows pretty interesting. There's some good squirrel watching and bird watching outside. Oh yeah, James requests a video tour. Yeah, I was thinking about how to do a wireless camera situation. I think one of the things that I'll look for unpacking pretty soon is the wireless mic. And then I think I might be able to get my DSLR on a wireless link. I've got this wireless HDMI transmitter and receiver pair, which at my old place I used it to get a video signal up to this projector that was on the ceiling. But I took the projector off the ceiling, and I have the wireless HDMI link, and I'm going to try to use that with my DSLR viewfinder at this point. So it's pretty low lag. I think that might work out. So yeah, that's one of the next things I'm going to set up once I unpack that equipment. I need to figure out how to store some of these cables so that I can unpack more cables. I can finally have a cable rack that is away from Tuco. Like, I'm imagining putting some pegs up in this closet here, and then even when Tuco's in this room, I can keep that closet door closed, and then Tuco can stay away from my oscilloscope probes and coax and Cat5 cables and power cables. I could just take a phone cam video, but upload it separately. Where's the fun in that? Yeah, I mean, I'm also just kind of embarrassed to show off this mess, right? It's like, welcome for the grand tour of my giant mess. So I feel like, I mean, I'm not in a huge hurry. This place is not going to be significantly different in the future. It'll just be easier to see the actual place rather than just a giant mess. Rupen's asking if I miss not having doors. No, doors are great. I can take off the doors if I don't want them, but it's hard to add doors in a space that's not designed for them. Yeah, the doors are great. I mean, I don't know what Tuco thinks about them. I think Tuco's probably annoyed by the doors, but I think they're pretty cool. Hey, boy. Oops. Oh, sorry, I missed a couple of YouTube chats because the window was not scrolled over. Yeah, a couple other requests for a tour. Whoa, tuk. Oh, yeah. There's a question about how Tuco's been handling the move. He's actually been handling it better than I expected. I got a bunch of advice from my friend and neighbor at my old place, who's like pretty knowledgeable about cats, and she suggested that I kind of keep Tuco confined to one room for a while to get him used to that as being kind of his home base, like his safe area. And so that's part of why I have him in the bedroom. It's not 100% because the rest of the house is not very cat-proofed at all right now. It's partly so that he learns that that's home. But he's been handling it surprisingly well. Like, you know, when the previous time he and I moved, you know, he was hiding for a while after he first moved in, and he seemed, you know, pretty scared of the new place. And this place, he seems to have just taken to it pretty much right away. He likes the windows. He likes... he has a bunch of familiar objects. Like, I set up his warm cat bed exactly like it was at the old place, you know, and he's got the same kind of litter box and all that, so I think it's pretty familiar. So it's definitely a different room. He still has some places to climb. He's been climbing the closet shelves, which is great because they're not nearly as tall as the 32-foot ladder I had at the previous place. It's not like he's climbing a 32-foot ladder above concrete. He's climbing like an 8-foot closet above wood, so that seems all right. Comment from YouTube chat that carpet is nice if it's cleaned daily. Yeah, I hate vacuuming carpet too. That was one of those things that, like, my mom always made me do as a kid because, you know, she just wanted me to clean her house exactly the way she wanted it. You know, that was like my job in life. And yeah, I'd much rather have a place that I can keep exactly the way I like it rather than just having someone else yell at me to keep the place the way, you know, I'm supposed to guess that they want it. Hey, Tuk Tuk. You can see the cat hair floating around in this room. It's kind of funny. Yeah, so I don't have these like super big drafts of air coming from the walls all the time. I have heat and air conditioning, which is pretty great. And what else? Relatively stable level of humidity is pretty nice. Yeah, the laundry situation has been good. I had laundry in the building at my last place, but it wasn't very good. Like the machines only worked about half the time, and it was kind of expensive. So, hey, Tuk Tuk. Meow. Hey. You just want to go over there, I know. Can't quite tell what he's interested in. I think he's just taking in all the objects. Yeah, Tuco is a lot like a toddler. Like, his personality is just so much. Like, you know, Bengals are just always like getting into stuff, and then American Curl, I think they're often kind of more kitten-like even as they grow up. Like they stay pretty curious and rambunctious. So Tuco's got both of those in him. You know, he's got this childlike curiosity, and he's got the energy of a little tiger. We like to run pretty fast on the wheel, though. He's, I think he likes the wheel on the hardwood floors. Like they're nice and stable, so the wheel doesn't wobble around as much. He wants to cleave a cable, right? Or chew a cable. Yeah, I'm hoping he doesn't chew on the cable that actually connects my servers to the internet. That would be bad. Where is he? Yeah, I think he just wants to check out that door because it probably smells like outside. These doors also have these like heavy metal screens on them, so it's also something where I can like keep that closed and he can like look out the screen and get some fresh air and a view. He is very cat. He's just so soft. And sharp. Tuco, you're stuck on my pants. I'm trying to disassemble. Here. Chico keeps going on that tour without all of you. Whoa, honey. Well, maybe I should, I don't know if there's much I can do here with a rambunctious cat that I can't follow with the camera, so maybe the next step here is I try to get a wireless camera and microphone setup going. Oh gosh, the internet wire here is so tiny now, because it's all fiber optic, and it's, like most of the wire is for rigidity. It's got like this big chunk of spring steel in the middle. Yeah, Tuco administered tour. I would totally just follow Tuco around with a cell phone camera. I mean, I could almost just carry the camera that I'm using right now. It needs to plug into the wall, and I'm out of tiny UPSs for that. But if I unpack some other objects, I'm sure I can find something that'll work. Oh, honey boy. He's pretty relaxed now. Yeah, the new internet service is pretty good. I mean, I really liked my old ISP, and this is kind of moving from a local ISP to like a big national ISP because I'm on AT&T now. But it's all right. It's better than I expected it to be. And the router, they have you, like, I would prefer to just have all my own equipment, but the current plan that I'm on has a router that they force you to rent. But it's actually not a terrible router. I can use it as just like an additional layer of firewall, and it doesn't get in the way much. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh yeah, Emily suggests that we should put platforms on the walls and the ceiling for him to jump and mess around with. Yeah, that's totally on my to-do list also. I had a couple of those at the old place, and he really liked them. I mean, I had one that was intentional. I put one shelf on the wall that was just a cat shelf, and then there's some other stuff that kind of did multiple purposes. Hey, boy, boy. Chico directed tour would have a lot of rummaging around behind the toilet for some reason. Tuco likes the new location I have picked out for the racks. He was hanging out there just a little bit. Because I think it'll be warm and also something he can sit on and look out the window. Oh, Thomas is complaining about the way AT&T installs their fiber. It is pretty weird. I think I know what you're talking about. The way they did it here, the cable that comes out of the wall into the fiber gateway is super tiny. It's like the tiniest thing where like I don't want to go anywhere near it. I have it like behind some furniture right now. I think the way they did it is most of the cable armor is like stuck into the hole that goes through the side of the house, and then the actual wire that goes into the gateway is just I don't know if it's just the glass or if it's just like the glass and some kind of small sheath. I think it's got like a little plastic sheath on it, but definitely not the metal armor. So that's weird. But yeah, they didn't anchor it any. I mean, they anchored it in multiple places along the side of the house, so it's not like it was just like gonna pull out of the house or anything. But yeah, I added some silicone sealant to that to kind of finish the job. Yeah, I mean, they definitely seemed to want to minimize how much travel the cable had to do on / in your house. And I feel like that too, like, if / when I have to get the fiber replaced, like, I don't want them to have to, like, run through the attic or the foundation or whatever. I just want it to go directly into the house. So I put the gateway in kind of the easiest location, and then I'm going to run another cable from that to the rack and everything else. And so I'm still trying to figure out how to do power for that. I think I might run a separate power over Ethernet just so that I have my own way of supplying the fiber gateway with the DC. But I might run a separate cable for that just to avoid having to have a PoE injector between the fiber gateway and everything else. Oh, I like the Tuco rover idea. That would be cool. Me too. I can't see all the chat from where I'm sitting, but there's something about a thin plastic tube that the ISPs run the fiber through. And yeah, my previous fiber ISP did that. They ran this, it looked like a 1/4 inch diameter rigid kind of plastic hose that they ran from like the center of the building, wherever the fiber terminated, to the gateway in my unit. Yeah, AT&T didn't do that here. AT&T just ran the armored cable directly from the utility pole into my house. I got him to reuse an existing hole even, so I didn't need to drill anything new. There's already a bunch of holes in this building. Probably gonna end up filling a bunch of them. Meow. Meow. Oh. Oops. Very, very soft. He's so interested in all the objects here. I think he mostly just wants to inspect the window and the door, but there's so many biteable cables around here that I've got to keep an eye on him. Oh yeah, he wants... gosh, I've been able to distract him a little bit with the plastic bolts here, but he's had so much else to look at that the bolts don't quite capture his attention like they usually do. He's super interested in the bathroom rug now. Getting all the most flattering camera angles today. Sorry. Physical DMZ, the ISP equipment. You mean like physically protect the cable? I think it's already alright. I mean, somebody could just climb the utility pole, which isn't on my property, if they really wanted to mess with the cable. Oh yeah, question, do I know how old the house is? Yeah, it's about 80 years old. And it seems to be, I mean, you know, I think I've got an idea of you know, what's good and what needs work, but maybe I'll be surprised. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be pretty well put together. It's got a brand new roof. The heating system is old but functional, probably needs to be replaced soon. The wiring is kind of a mess and needs work. The plumbing is probably fine. It's not been completely replaced, but I think it's been replaced in most of the ways that matter. But yeah, I've got a lot of crawling around in crawl spaces and attics in my future. There's another question. Does Tuco like empty cardboard boxes? Yes, very much. I let him take some of his favorite just from the rest of the house back into the bedroom to hang out with because he liked them. Oh, Tuco. Boy. What's in that one? Oh, a box of dusty fire extinguishers. This house came with a really old fire extinguisher that was also really empty. But luckily the bracket was the same size as my non-empty fire extinguishers. I'll just have to get that one recharged. Now Tuco's standing behind I mean, I guess we could let Tuku give us a tour around this room. That probably smells interesting because I just cleaned it off outside. Oh gosh, yeah, the scope box is pretty huge. I'm glad I still had that box, because I didn't keep the boxes for most of my objects here, so I had to use a lot of packing material. Oh, Tuco. Oh, Tuco. Tuco, let's get out of there. I think he's behaving himself, kind of. Oh. Go back there. Oh, all of these wires are the kind he likes to bite. Oh, don't bite that. Oh, he's going back into his room. Huh. And that's the bathroom. This is the version of Tuco Flyer where I hold a webcam on a short wire. It's not the best version. Oh, Tuc. Now the bolt's getting his attention. Yeah. Yeah. Good job, boy. None of those cables are necessary for diode zone, so just the stream that I'm doing right now. Good job. I was looking forward to doing this in this particular hallway since I first saw the house. Like, the way this is laid out, I expect that I'll be able to throw bolts from either my desk in this office or my desk in the bedroom, just down the hallway, which should be good for Tuc. Hey, boy. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another good suggestion, a new version of Tuco Flyer where it's like a monorail that goes down the hall. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I wonder if there's a way we could use the existing hardware, or if just like a curtain rail or something would be more appropriate. Oh, Chico, I didn't see where you put that one. There's another bolt here. Now he's distracted by the guest room / empty room / roommate / Airbnb / I don't know what's gonna go there. I feel weird about renting it out, but I mean I'd also like for someone else to use it, so I need to figure that out at some point. Duke found my cardboard stash. This is a question about what Tuco is fetching, whether it's a PCB standoff. Those are plastic bolts. It's a specific nylon bolt that Tuco really likes, and I just got a bunch of them. Chico really wants to see those windows. I'm definitely going to have a cat shelf right there. I've got kind of a cat shelf next to a window that's the same size in the bedroom. And Chico hangs out there a lot. Tuco on Rail written in Python only to annoy Ruby developers. Yeah. I could write it in Rust. I could write it in Rust and then make the rail out of stainless steel. I don't know. Mouthful of coffee grounds. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe someday I'll buy a coffee maker. Yeah. Do you like that? No? That's where the outside air comes from. Chico's being respectful of the keyboard so far, but oh, don't go over there, honey. Oh man, if I can get a wireless HDMI viewfinder on my DSLR and then put it on my gimbal, that would be a great mobile camera for this show. I think I can get that set up after I unpack the right objects. Oh, Chico, don't get up here. He mostly just wants the windows. It would also just be really easy for him to take a bite of a cable. He really shouldn't. Yeah, he just wants to check out the garden. Now I'm going back in the bedroom where the wire doesn't reach. Alright. I think I need a break from babysitting Chico for a minute. Oh gosh, yeah, cat's getting lost. That's super scary and sad, and it's really, really stressful to not know where Chico is, and I definitely worry about him getting stuck somewhere. Oh, that's Chico. Yeah, he does that when he wants to... when he wants that door open. James is asking what's behind the very interesting door? Which door? I mean, this one's a closet which is currently empty, and that one goes to the backyard, and the one behind me goes to Chico and my bedroom. Yeah, I definitely need to add cat shelves in here. I focused my cat shelf efforts on the bedroom because that's his main hangout, but yeah, I need cat shelves everywhere. Hey, boy. And Robert's mentioning that on that Sony camera, I can stream video from it wirelessly with the built-in Wi-Fi. That's interesting. I would expect that to not be consistent enough from a latency perspective, but it might be worth trying. I was thinking I would just use a wireless HDMI adapter with it, but it took. But yeah, I might have to check that out. If the Wi-Fi works well enough, then that might be a thing I could do. I feel like I've always gotten burned by trying to rely on the Wi-Fi for anything critical around here. So like I use it for some monitoring sometimes, but anytime I've tried to do... Chico! Hey, boy. Hey. Chico. I can stick my hand under the door and pet his nose. See, if he wanted to, he could just remove my fingers at this point. Somebody's asking what the door size is. It's 80 inches. I think the doors are that high. Okay, well, this might be a good stopping point for the stream. I feel like I've successfully said hi to people, but I don't really have much to do right now other than continue unpacking. Um, but yeah, I guess I need some furniture and the wireless camera and a bunch of cat proofing. Also electricity, that whole thing where I need to replace a bunch of the wiring. So that'll be a whole project. Somebody's asking about a light switch being upside down. I think all the light switches here are right side up, but some of them are three-way switches. All of the light switches that you're looking at are... I don't know what light switch you would have seen. Yeah, I haven't noticed any upside down light switches here. Oh gosh, okay, so I guess the Wi-Fi camera stream is like already involving reverse engineered tools. Yeah, that might be more janky than I want right now. Oh gosh, lots of folks watching right now actually. This is like a pretty big crowd. I know I haven't streamed in a while, so people probably mostly just want to know what's going on. I could certainly hang out and chat a bit longer if there's anything to talk about, but yeah, I also mostly just can't do projects from this current setup quite yet. I need to add some cameras and furniture. But yeah, oh yeah, folks are asking about the move. The move was pretty stressful, but I'm glad I had help. I actually had some really helpful neighbors that pitched in and carried boxes and helped drive trucks and stuff like that. And that was great. I did all the packing and I'm doing all the unpacking myself, and that's been kind of stressful and complicated. But, you know, after I figured out like what materials to use and how to pack some of the most awkward things, I think stuff started falling into place. But yeah, that just took a while. There's been just a bunch of stuff. I had to get a bunch of these big double-walled boxes. I got these two sizes, like 30-inch by 24-inch by 12, I think, and then 24-inch cubes, and just like big, heavy-duty boxes that I mostly need a hand truck to move around. But I used those to pack up all the heavy-duty rack gear, all the like long and flat stuff, and all the fragile, heavy stuff. I used this Instapack foam to protect. So yeah, just a lot of prep work, a lot of packing. It took me like a month and a half or something just to pack everything up into boxes, and then just have this giant pile of boxes that I could have my neighbors help me move into a truck and then move here. And then it took 2 big truckloads. So we had two loads with U-Hauls, I think a 20-foot and a 15-foot U-Haul, and then a couple of trips with smaller trucks. Did one load with my neighbor in his pickup truck, just with servers to move those. That was the day that Diode Zone was down for the morning. I woke up early, threw Diode Zone in a box, packed up all the hard disks separately, and then did the same thing with FileBox, my internal NAS. Threw all that in the back of a truck, drove that here, and then unpacked it and spent the rest of the day setting it up, that kind of thing. That's a good question. Did I find any missing things when I packed up all my stuff, things that I forgot about? Yeah, I think there were a couple of little things like that. I wasn't extremely surprised by the objects I had for the most part, because a lot of the stuff in my shop I had just recently kind of reorganized to some extent, because a lot of the stuff I was doing last year was trying to like organize and just generally like control the giant mess that I was inhabiting. I did find some things that were surprising though. But I don't think they were shop things for the most part. I think they were just like some odds and ends around the house that I had forgotten about. like some kitchen stuff, like random things like that. A couple of cat toys. Okay, Robert left a link to this tool, Sony PM Alt. Yeah, that might be worth a look. I had so I have a bunch of like security cameras around here that also double as cameras for streaming. So kind of like what I was doing at the old place, I have some cameras that I can use for like 3D printers and like overhead shop views and stuff. But then I also have some cameras that are more just like, you know, in case something goes wrong, it'd be nice to have a record of it, slash like I can have real-time alarms for stuff. And so I've been trying to set up some more of that here. And before I had as much equipment here, I tried just like running an IP camera program on an Android phone and sticking that on the Wi-Fi, and it was kind of working, but yeah, just like the Wi-Fi was not reliable enough to keep an RTSP connection going 24/7 consistently. And that's just like generally my experience with Wi-Fi is like when I want to do video over Wi-Fi, it often works, but it doesn't reliably work. I do use the Wi-Fi for like metrics kind of stuff. Like I've got like those voltage sensors. Those are HS110s that are on their own Wi-Fi network. So I've got some stuff like that, but I try to keep all the cameras wired. Oh, I need a quick restroom / coffee refill break. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll come back and see if there's anything else to talk about before we wrap this up, because I have time to talk. I'm, pretty relaxed at this point, and I'm happy to be just like unpacking stuff and planning house projects, and I can talk about that all you folks want. I just can't show very much of it until I do some additional unpacking. So I'll be right back. Oh, actually I'm out of coffee, which means I guess I should walk to the grocery store. Oh yeah, that's a good question, if the Wi-Fi spectrum is any less busy around here. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at it really closely. I haven't even like changed the channels on my router or anything, but it seems to be working okay so far. I was getting like 300 megabits to the internet over my Wi-Fi, so it doesn't seem like there's a huge problem. But yeah, I don't know how often there's just bursts of interference that swamp it. Oh, an AeroPress. Yeah, I need to get. So I have an AeroPress. It just needs a replacement plunger piece. It's I don't know if anybody knows what this is. It's like a coffee press that's small and uses these little paper filters, and I like it a lot. I used to use it pretty frequently, but I think at some point the rubber in the plunger part degraded and got sticky, so I threw out that piece. So I either need to get a whole new set or I need to find a replacement for that piece. But yeah, I usually use a French press to make coffee, which is all right, but if I don't get it aligned just right, then it lets a bunch of coffee grounds through, and that's annoying. And it's never like the smoothest coffee. It's just kind of what I'm used to. So yeah, I might just get a drip coffee maker because those are convenient and cheap. Well, this might be a good stopping point. I've just kind of, just got my computer in over here. Need to do a lot of spaghetti organizing and box unpacking. There's several more boxes that I should really bring in from the garage soon, but I also want to have somewhere to put them, so I should try to organize some of these cables like ASAP. Got my 3 chats here. Yeah, drip is good for making me a day's worth of coffee at once. Yeah, that's kind of what I miss about it. I had one back in college, and I used it a lot for that particular purpose. I thought the smaller drip machines, like the 4-cup, was a good compromise. Alright, well, I think I might wrap it up here, and I'll try to come back pretty soon. I still don't have an actual schedule for streaming, but I feel like I should get one soon. I might be at the point where I could try to stream like every day again, and just at least like have a check-in, even if I don't have a project to work on. Because yeah, I'm not on like serious time pressure for anything at this point. I've got some stuff I need to take care of for like moving related and personal stuff, but a lot of what I'm doing now is just trying to untangle the giant tree of dependencies that are between me and having a fully set up lab. So there's a lot there, but there's not stuff that I've got to get done, like immediately before my landlord wants the place back at this point. I think I'm done with that kind of stuff, which is great. All right. Happy hacking, folks. I'll see you soon.